Good evening, everyone.
Good
Hello.
evening.
Hey, we had some technical difficulty getting this thing fired up and rolling tonight. Sorry about starting out late.
That's okay.
Well, listen, we're broadcasting this from Lady Lake, Florida. We're down here for the winter. We'll be back up in Lilydale, and that'll probably be the end of April. And we'll be back up there then for the summer. And hopefully this year everything will just open up and get rolling. So that'll be wonderful. Hope everyone's doing well with their health. I noticed one person had a mask on for a moment, and I, I know that there's a lot of people out there that have been caged up, let's say, for too long, and we're now at a point where we want to have freedom. I've been working with people and reading for people, and there's been a few people that are just like, I'm not sure how they're going to deal with it when they actually have freedom. I welcome everyone. I'm a spiritualist medium. I've been up at Lilydale now, registered medium up there, and this coming season, I think will be 49 years. And I've lived up there in the summers most of my life. And I work with people over the phone and over Zoom and over the radio, and did a lot of radio shows and things. I was on KDK for 20, what was it now, 32 years. I was on KDK, and had a wonderful time with that. I see some faces I recognize. Hello to everyone. I imagine all of us have had the limitations in the winter. I know I see a few faces here that had shown up at Lilydale at circles or meditation, and that's wonderful. Say hello to you guys, and we'll look forward to this. Now, being that we had the technical difficulty, what I'll do is an opening prayer, and then we'll just roll into what I'm getting. And Leslie is my wife, and she has collected some questions that people have emailed in, and we can start out with those after the prayer. Okay? Dear Father God, in all love and I pray, and says the walker pathway of life, and may accept and understand all obstructions before us, may deal with them in the highest and best way. May we be guided by the hand, the sight, and the understanding. Amen. And on the new ones coming in here that never been here before, feel free. There'll be a period of time that I'll have openness for people asking questions, and you can do that. And if it's your first time here, welcome. Thank you for plugging in and see what's going on. Do we have a question you want to start with there?
I've got a few. First question is, do changes in the body, such as heart surgery, change one's ability to connect to spirit?
I've had it happen where I've had one gentleman say to me that he had heart surgery and he actually had a heart replacement. And it was a human heart, and he had a full replacement. And he was joking one time and he said to me, he says, I don't know why, but he said, chicken nuggets now are really tasty to me. And I had to laugh because he was saying to me the different things he felt about it. And when he actually had the opportunity to speak to the family, that's one of the comments they made was the person that passed over liked to go to McDonald's and have the chicken nuggets. Now, on a vibrational rate, I really believe people do pick up things, and we pick up the vibration from someone. A few of you may not recognize this, but when I say, have you ever dealt with psychometry? By holding an object of someone else's and see what you feel and what you sense with it. Can you imagine what the object would be in a sense of like a body part or a surgery where like someone's had a lung replaced? Different things like that have occurred. And I find that there's been a number of people I've read for over the years that have had experiences like that. And they've commented they did feel differently and they did feel different vibrations. And they had different thoughts at times as to why they felt what they felt. I had one gentleman that actually had a period of time where he had lung replacement, a dual lung replacement. And he said to me, he said, he said, not only did I feel blessed that, the technology was there, but the vibration of what he felt about people. And he commented to me that he felt things about the person's family and he felt things about spirit loved ones around the family. And he started getting readings where there were times someone would give him a reading and things were picked up, and he recognized that it wasn't his family. And here it was the person that had been the donator of the lungs. So it's like, I believe the vibration we carry is very, very special and very meaningful. And we can have that experience of feeling things in ways that we're not used to, or maybe not even recognize. Another question?
In addition to that, this particular individual said, I had a very large pericardial cyst, which was behind my heart. It had to be removed, and during this time, machines breathed for me. Then several years later, I had a cardiac ablation, and then a year or so later, I had another cardiac ablation. Prior to these surgeries, connecting to spirit felt easier. My heart rate was much faster. I have a slow heart rate now, and when expanding my aura, I don't feel as though I am able to achieve the connection I had before.
Well, I think the change in the vibration in the physical body could occur, and that would be an effect on you. I know after surgeries, I had a gallbladder out, and it was an emergency surgery here this last year. And I found it interesting that I felt for a period of time right after that, because they had to put me under. Excuse me, they had to put me under. I felt a little confused energy after that, and then I started depending on what I really felt again, and was working with people. And I found an energy there that we do have that ability of stepping out of things, and we're disconnecting a bit, and then we come back and we reconnect. I believe spirit works with us no matter what the circumstances are, but to get back into, let's say, being anchored and centered in our vibration we recognize, I don't believe it's taken away. I believe that it's in a different vibration or different way we're being in tune. And as we become more aware of that, it really makes a big difference for us to feel better and be in tune. I noticed after surgery of being under, I had a tooth worked on, and they gave me a numbness in the jaw area. And I just went to sleep in that evening. I just went to sleep, and it was like I deliberately just started on healing, focusing on healing. And the next day I was fine. Vibration was great. So we need to realize that we can bring ourselves back to center and reconnect with spirit in the manner we need to. Another question? Is
Yes.
everyone hearing the questions easily? Well, okay, good. Good.
Next question is, I would like to know how Greg defines spiritual development for the purpose of these classes. For example, does he define it as the development of skills and abilities possible within the human potential, or do you define it in a broader context of embodiment of the divine within which skills and abilities naturally develop, or neither, in which case, how do you define it?
How I define it spiritually is the fact that, God gives us the ability to look at lessons in life, and we come into the body. And as we step into the body, there's a spiritual understanding at a soul level that when we come in, we've come here to learn, grow, and progress. And as we've come here to learn, grow, and progress, we need to look at our lives and say, when we step into the body and we're actually, literally born here in a physical sense, you're then looking at things and saying, now we have free will. And in a matter of free will, we can ignore a lot, push away a lot, and really not want to face things in the manner we need to. And that's something I watch people do all the time. Now, for example, using COVID as an example, I believe God makes us stop, look, and listen. And we have COVID, and people who have certainly, God bless them, have passed from it and been sick from it. But I feel it's making us stop, look, and listen, because I believe at a soul level, there were many, 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 many people all over the world, not just here, and all of them realizing that they were getting off on the wrong track. The importance of things that should mean nothing meant a lot. And now I feel it's made us stop, look, and listen, and bring us back to center, bring us back to a focus in our lives of saying, what are we now focusing on, and what's really, truly important? I've noticed that in the world where I look at all the narcissistic energy that's going on and the manipulative energy that's going on, and the people that used to slide by and manipulate a lot more and get away with it, they're now being seen for who and what they really are. And I believe this is an awakening for everyone, to really look at their lives and say, what's now truly important? What are we investing our time, energy, love, and emotions in? And in what manner do we place our lives in harmony with God's presence and God's guidance? And the mediumship, I believe, is a communicative level from the higher powers. And it's something that we can communicate with each other. I believe at a soul level, we all have communications with each other. As I'm looking at the screen here, I mean, there's a lot of faces on the screen, and there's a lot of energies I feel with each of you. And I believe that we have connections in a deeper and higher level that we may at a conscious level not recognize. I always try to explain to people what I believe in a soul level mind process, thinking process, awareness process. There's a soul level that knows why we're here and what we're here for and the experiences we're having. There's a conscious level that I refer to as trying to catch up. And the conscious level is trying to figure out what are we doing, why are we here, what's the focus, why do we need to believe or handle certain things in certain ways. And then we have the people in the world that are, excuse this, but about as dumb as a box of rocks and don't want to look at anything. And they just want to blunder through and do what they want to do no matter what. And I believe that on a responsibility basis, we have the ability in a mediumistic way to ask God's guidance and Spirit's guidance. I look at the hierarchy of God's energy and the Spirit energy as guardian angels and loved ones. You can put it in different categories and different titles, but I believe they're ordained by God to come to us, help us, guide us, uplift us, bring healing. And as we look at that and realize that we're on the, let's say, on the bottom of the totem pole here, and we're figuring out what we're really here for. I mean, how many of us look at life at times and say, what am I really doing? You know, I've had so many readings recently with people that would say to me, what's my purpose? What's my direction? I believe we have many purposes and many directions that really stem over a period of time that we have changes in that. I had one lady say to me one time, she says, well, I knew my purpose was this. And I believe our purpose changes as we progress. And the experiences of that purpose is very, very powerful and meaningful in our lives. And we're needing to accept in ourselves that that is a continuous progression. And it's not a circumstance of just here we're for one thing and that's it. I don't really believe that. I think we have many, many things we're here to grow and learn and progress in. I find that right now, with all of the illness aspect people have been experiencing and the seclusion that some people have had to experience, I've seen some people mentally and emotionally driven to the edge and that they're not real sure how to handle everything right now because of all the stress they've been experiencing. But I also feel in the world, if we look at the world around us and look at all the people in positions of power, I had a client say to me one time, she said, do we have all of the narcissistic people are all of a sudden being seen and recognized for what and who and how they really are? And I want to say, in many ways, at many levels, it's happening. Whether you look at it politically, whether you look at it as a business that you're in or involved in, and you see people that want to manipulate, that energy is very powerful right now. And we're needing to recognize the fact that we can change that because we recognize it and we diffuse that energy and we have a choice of bringing harmony and calmness into our lives. When I was a little boy, I remember someone picking on me at school. And my grandmother, when I got home, her first comment to me when I walked through the door, she says, remember, you can have harmony in the midst of chaos. No matter what the chaos is, no matter who's causing it, no matter what's occurring in your life, you can have harmony, but you have to be centered enough and calm enough to focus on that. And that's something that we don't always do because we allow things to get to us and wind us up even more. And the more we wind it up, it's like a snowball rolling downhill. It just keeps getting bigger. And I find myself at times emotionally connecting with a lot of things going on. And I sort of avoid watching the news. I see it now and then. I watch more of the weather than the news. And I find that works out much better because I see the confusion in the news that's being repeated and repeated and repeated. How many times do we need to hear the same negativity over and over? And it's like beating it into us, all this negativity energy. Well, let's put that time and energy instead of listening and looking at that. Let's put the time and energy into the healing we're sending out and the intent we have with bringing energy and healing to the world around us. There's things I feel about the world and what's coming, and I immediately surrounded in light and healing. I've had people that have commented to me. I read for someone just a short time ago, and he had a pretty serious illness going on. And I brought through a doctor from the spirit side, and I said, the doctor is working with you. And I said, things will be better and they're going to change. And they sent me a text a short time after that. I think it was text or email. And they said, well, the condition's gone now. I don't know what happened. It's gone now. Well, I believe when we at a soul level are ready to accept and we're in harmony in ourselves, we're then accepting the healing and we're accepting the harmony. And that means really good health and healing of circumstances that occur, whether it be mentally, emotionally, physically, or spiritually. We have that ability to bring that balance in. He had a breathing issue and a sinus issue. And I know the doctor when he was in the living that came to him, and he came through me as a messenger and gave messages to him. And then after that, we got the message back that he all of a sudden he said, it's gone. I feel better. And he had already been to doctors and testing and all kinds of things. So it's really pretty amazing what can happen when we at a soul level are ready for it and we're at a spiritual level of acceptance. Remember, how many of us really look at ourselves as being completely deserving of the harmony when we allow ourselves to focus on some of the negativities and upsets? We let ourselves focus on things at times that actually can be quite disruptive. And we're not always realizing how disruptive it really becomes. And that's a focus we need to have. You have another question?
Yes. Family gatherings can feel like pressure cookers, especially when you are thrown together with people who may not share the same values or who are very different from yourself. Sometimes it seems it is easier to show love and compassion to those who are far removed from us rather than in family units when those closest to us are different from our personality types. When this occurs, the interactions can feel strained. How do we learn to show compassion when situations of emotional tension are present, especially within family?
Well, think of it in this form. I've had a family in my life. My family, basically, most of them are in spirit now, and I don't have any connection with them right here in a physical sense of people alive and living. And I find that I look at other people's families and all the energies that are going on. You know, my grandmother taught me this when I was very young. I think 7.5, 8 years old. I remember saying this to me. She said, we learn to love people where and when and how we can. If they have a different opinion, different energy, different attitude, I'll just bring it up this way. I've seen a lot of people in politics and looking at the politics of one part of the family believing one way and another part of the family believing another way. I've seen that as something there that I've had people that didn't believe the way I believe. But the difference is I feel what I get from spirit about what's coming or what's going to happen or what in a powerful way in the world, what's going to be occurring. And I trust spirit to give me the guidance, the information. And I just get very quiet when they don't have the same thought or they're looking at things in a very powerful or negative manner. I just surround them in light and I bless them. I know and recognize it's their lesson, and that's the lesson they have to learn. And they have to reach a point of figuring that out all on their own. And to resist that and try to change them, excuse me, to try to change them just brings a lot of anger, and you are then a target of the energy that they carry. I surround them in light, and I don't really disagree with it. God bless them. Somewhere else, preferably further away, is a great way of doing it. But it's something when you're dealing with them at a dinner table, for example, at Thanksgiving, I just love them and I share with them, and I'll just let them have their opinion and then not get caught up in it because they're headed down a very dark pathway that can be very destructive. I've seen some people be so self-destructive that they made themselves ill. They had accidents. They had all kinds of things happen that certainly was not harmonious. And then they're wanting to be more angry at the world, and they want to be more angry at everybody else, because then it's like, look what they did to me. Well, we're not victims in this lifetime, we're perpetrators. And what are we perpetrating upon ourselves in our attitudes or beliefs? And what are we doing that's really bringing negativity to us? Lessons in life are very simple. But I believe when we come into the earth plane and we're given free will, our free will then looks at a lot of things. I've seen a ton of people look at things and go, well, I don't like it, therefore I'm not going to participate in it or learn from it. I hate it. I don't want it, and you ignore it. Well, it keeps coming back because it's a lesson. And if we just look at what we're needing to learn here and accept it in a harmonious manner, we're going to learn it, and it's going to be a speed bump in life instead of it being a mountain to climb. And I see so many people making mountains that don't need to be. And I've seen some people with some attitudes, and they wonder why they have disaster. You know, I just well, today we pulled in a gas station to get gas, and this one fell in a car, cut everybody off in the line, and went up ahead of a vehicle ahead of him, and pulled in at a complete angle. And the vehicle that he passed was finishing, pumping gas. He couldn't even move the vehicle. And then this guy's card didn't work, and there's a button on the machine you push to get help for someone to come over and help you, and he's over there waving his arms around and trying to get someone to notice. And here he is in all this negativity and frustration. And the truck behind him basically was ready to blow their horn. And he finally pulled up and moved his car more. It's like, he's impatient, he's manipulative, he had an ego attitude. And I just sat and watched the energy, and I thought, he doesn't even recognize how destructive he is to himself, let alone the other people. But I mean, the card didn't work. He couldn't get the machine to work. He couldn't get nothing to work. So I look at the energy of some of the people in life here, and some of them really don't see the destructiveness they're creating for themselves. And if we can just be in a calmer state of mind and not allow ourselves to consciously step into this anger mode and go into this aggression mode, we can sit back and look at the energy around them, and it's like, I just smile and go on. There's no reason to be involved in it. And again, we can have harmony in the midst of chaos. Next question.
Next question is, what is the energy behind people who are self-entitled and self-indulgent and arrogant? Why are those people around us? In Jungian terms, they talk about one wounding. What has occurred to that soul that puts those people on earth and makes them have those qualities? Are there earthly events that can bring change to those who possess extreme amount of those traits?
When you look at someone that's narcissistic, they do not look at themselves as being someone that create their own energy. They always look at it as someone's done something to them. And if they want something or do something, they're going to do it their way to satisfy the goal they want. And I find that when you have someone like that, it's a teacher for everyone else in the world around them. But it's also not only being a teacher, but it's a circumstance of look at the turmoil they're in. I've had it happen many times in my life where I'd be in contact with someone like that or having to deal with someone like that. And I just very quietly create a mirror around them, and I bless them. And I see it as a mirror around them that's a form of their energy reflects back to them. And I send out the thought and prayer that they may recognize what they're really doing, and to allow them to experience their own energy instead of being able to blame everybody else, that they may experience their lessons in life. Because on one level, they're teachers for us. And on another level, we're needing to recognize that we don't need that disharmony in our lives. And what circumstance has allowed ourselves to open that to us? What door have we opened to allow that energy in our lives? And it's something that can be disruptive to us if we open the door and let it in. But as we recognize that, we start realizing how we can mirror the image away from us, and to recognize what we were doing or what connection we had that allowed that to be there, that was an experience for us to witness or at times be involved in. And to recognize we don't need to be involved in it. There's no need for the disharmony. We are magnets, and we do draw things to us. And when you have those experiences, I immediately question, what connection do I have to this, and what motivated this to occur in my life, or that I was witnessing or experiencing it. Just like the gas pump guy there. I mean, we were on the other side of the pump, so we weren't involved in being around him or what he was doing. But I was looking at the energy there and how disrupted he was and how frustrated he was. I mean, this guy was getting more wound up the whole time he was there, but yet he's the one that created the energy. And I just surround him in light, and God bless him, and go on. And if you can recognize in yourself, what am I learning from this? It's like it brings more harmony and brings more peacefulness in your life. You know, my grandmother always said to me, you know, be at peace with those who aren't at peace. And to recognize being peaceful meaning I'm not participating in it, I'm not promoting it, I'm not a part of it, but I can witness it and learn from it. And to really have that ability to just connect more and just not be involved. I think that spiritually is the best way of handling it. I do a lot where I surround people in light. I just had an experience today of a gentleman that I want to say mentally and emotionally is very out of balance. He's got some real big issues. And he happened to talk to me. And in, I would say, less than a 10-minute time span, he poured his life out and told me events from his childhood on up. And we talked, and if I was to have someone ask me, do you like this person? No, I don't like the energy and I don't like where he's at. But I felt spirit prouding me to talk to him and to share energy with him. And I patted him on the shoulder. I shook his hand a couple times, and he's blessed. And I feel spirit working with me, through me, to him. And it changed his whole attitude. He was in tears, and he emotionally was pretty amazed at what came through for him and the conversation we had. Now, if we can look at someone that we may not like, we may not want to be a part of their energy, we may not even want to be near their energy, but just like I felt that, and it was like an automatic draw of energy right there that I just feel like I really need to talk with him. Two other gentlemen that were standing there talking with him picked up and left when we started our conversation, and I know spirit took care of that. They removed them from the energy that he would open up and be completely open and truthful and sharing. And he talked about incredibly personal things that would be something that you may have a hard time talking to a psychiatrist or a psychologist about. But he opened up and talked about it readily. So I believe that if we work with the healing energy, we can bring calmness and harmony in whoever we're dealing with. And just like that gentleman, mentally out of balance with things, he's been out of balance all his life. And I find that it was wonderful to feel that on the way home from that area. We were driving along, and Leslie said to me, she says, "What are you thinking?" And I said, "Well, I'm sending him energy. I'm sending him healing. I feel there's an open door where I can share energy with him, and I'm sending him energy." So if we can do that and have that thought process and belief system, we're then creating a harmony and a healing for every event and person around us, because we can be in harmony and we can share that harmony with others, even when they're not harmonious themselves. I had my mother say to me a couple times when I was a kid, she goes, "Remember, what you're thinking and what you're doing rubs off." People do pick up on it. They may not be completely conscious of it, but they pick up on it. And to be able to do that in that form, they have no idea what hit them. And they wonder why they're thinking differently, they're feeling differently, there's a better energy. Be a part of the healing. Be a part of the healing. Another one?
Yes. How can America's democracy stay alive, grow, and be more just? Will it take both inner and outer work? How does one deal with fascism thoughts that seems to be gathering?
Well, think of it in this form. If you look at the whole political system and you look at the people there that are narcissistic, they're voted in supposedly to protect and help us and guide the country. I really feel that um, 99% of them need to be shipped out and start over. And I feel the energy around that is an energy that there's so many people that get into, they're benefiting themselves. There are very narcissistic, sociopathic energies. And even though they're supposedly these wonderful folks that present themselves in a wonderful way, there's always this manipulative energy behind it. And I believe at every level, and I'm not talking just to high political offices, I'm talking about, senators and congressmen and big business and all these things. There's such a, let's say, clarity now of how selfish and manipulative people can be, no matter what position they hold in life, supposedly. It's like the true, honest reality of the human being is coming out. And I believe there's going to be a very rebellious energy occur in this country that's going to bring more harmony. And I believe within about a year, year and a quarter time span, we're going to have a depression type energy in the country. It's going to be partially affecting the world in some ways. But I want to say, give it about a year, maybe year and a quarter. I get a feeling here that we're going to have a lot of things happen, and it's going to force people back to the simple things and force people back to what's really important. And all these games people play and how they manipulate on the financial level, how they manipulate an emotional level. I mean, I see so many political things going on that are just totally awry, completely off the charts in a sense of doing things wrong. But they want to present it in one way and package it as something wonderful when it really isn't. And I believe this country is going to go through quite a reshaping and a shaking up. But I feel the reshaping and the shaking up is actually a good thing because it's going to bring us back to an anchor point of more simplified and focus of helping, loving, and caring about each other and realize that we're important and the relationships we have with each other is important. And that's something that I see people at times avoiding. And if they avoid it, it just becomes disastrous. And we're reaching a point where it can't be avoided anymore. It has to be shared. I mean, I look at it this way. It doesn't matter what race or what culture or anything else. We're all here together and we all have the ability to share. And if we look at that with fear and we look at that with doubt and we look at that by just charting our pathways by looking at the past energies that have occurred, I think there's a lot of bad energies occurred and a lot of harmfulness to each other. And I think it's very sad, that we as human beings, and again, it has nothing to do with races. It's human beings. Where in the world are we at? What in the world are we doing? How far away from, let's say, this doesn't exactly fit it, but if I was to say, what about the religious views that many religions have and claim to have the harmony and the caring and all these things in a loving way? I see a lot of people that certainly don't act that way after Sunday. And I find an energy around that. My grandmother always said to me, and Dana Bailey was my teacher, that was a mental guide to me and a medium. He was one of the amazing men in my life. He was a medium, trance medium. He worked with development in that way. I feel with him, he trained me from when I was about 7.5, 8 years old. I met him, and until the day he passed, he was a teacher of mine that was a main influence in my life in many ways. And he was just plain amazing. But he commented to me many times. He knew Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Arthur Ford, Edgar Casey. He had piles of letters from all these people he had correspondence with. And I look at all the energies around him, and I sit and listen to him in trance give lectures and talks from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Arthur Ford. I mean, these people had been passed for years. And he brought it through to me, and I would sit and listen to lectures. And he, before passing, was blind, and he'd been blind for quite a few years. And I was a caregiver in a sense that I would drive him to dinner and drive him to the universities where he'd speak. When he spoke at Kent State University, they were going to have him walk out on the stage. And I said to him, I said, I have to place him in the chair so everything is set up that he can walk up to the podium and things like that. And I would take care of him in that manner. And I remember going to Kent State University and walking him out on stage and placing him in the chair. And then I would go sit in the audience. And it was so interesting to me that he could get up and speak. And when he was in trance, he walked behind the podium and spoke. And he walked around the podium and stood at the edge of the stage with his toes over the stage. And he knew exactly where he was standing when he was in trance. And he gave information that was just absolutely phenomenal. And if we look at things and realize the harmony we're capable of, each one of us has the ability to have harmony in our lives. And how many of us at times look at things in a doubtful or fearful manner? That's natural. We're humans. We're here to learn, grow, and progress. But we're needing to look at our lives and realize, the harmony is there for everyone. It's just how we're choosing to approach and look at it. And to also look at things without having a fearful state of mind. And all the events in life lead to more fearfulness that we're having around us that's hurtful or, we get afraid of. We're not needing that. We need the harmony. I live in Lowendale and I've been in Lowendale most of my life in the summers. And there has been mediums up there that are past the spirit now that are just amazing people. And every once in a while they'll pop in my mind and come back to me and give me guidance. We all have guides. We all have teachers. We all have loved ones on the spirit side. And we're needing to take time to allow that to be a daily part of our lives. Even if we take 10 minutes in a meditative or prayerful manner, asking them to guide us. When I wake up in the morning, I always put out the thought of energy that would you please guide me today that I may have harmony and calmness. In whatever lessons and conflict we have in life, may I learn from it, grow from it, and progress with the healing. And if we just have that thought process and we're opening ourselves in that manner, it's really amazing what we can change to a speed bump instead of a mountain. It's a choice we're making. Any other questions?
Yep. There was a woman in Southern California. She was taking pictures of the sun, and in one of the pictures, there was what looked like a Stargate. Do you feel that was real?
Yes, absolutely. No doubt in my mind.
Is it from God, or is it alien, or is it from the universe?
Well, let's put that in a different category. I believe God's energy is in communication and awareness of extraterrestrial, other planets, other races, other developments in other worlds. I believe God's energy is aware of and in tune to all those things. I don't divide it up that God's just here for just us. And I believe other entities and dimensions of understanding exist everywhere. And I believe, can you imagine a really advanced soul? Now, whether you turn them extraterrestrial, whatever title you want to put on it, can you imagine them looking at the planet and seeing the war and the abuse and the energy and the hatred and the manipulations going on? Do you think they'd really want to participate with us? I mean, sometimes I look at it and think, my God, what in the world would they want to come here for? And I look at the energies around people and realize I've had many experiences myself that I would consider UFO entities. I've had experiences in my life with dreams. I astral travel and I fly above things and look at them. I've been out of the body and traveled places in the world. I've traveled places that I wouldn't say is in this world. And I recognize that as something that each one of us, to some degree, have had something occur that we can recognize in our lives in that form. And we're needing to trust the idea that I believe God's bigger than just us. And I believe all these other dimensions of communication and knowledge and energy is something that I really believe God's in tune to too. I've had guides of mine that come through as guides that have been admittedly souls that passed away, and they came to me to guide me, and they've been wonderful. I have some other guides that come to me that I've never known on the earth plane. They were never on the earth plane. And I know some people would say, well, are they extraterrestrial or what they are? I look at them as guardian angels. And as long as they're functioning from a level of God and God's energy of healing, helping, and bringing about harmony, I look at that as a blessing. And I believe God's energy can come in so many forms beyond what we sometimes think. How many times we had something happen in our lives of someone being a negative energy in life for a while, and you end up being friends? How many times do we have things happen where somebody could be very negative at one moment, and the next moment they're helping someone, they're healing someone, they're rescuing someone? I look at something that each one of us are in many ways, we have moments of playing different roles in life. We're teachers, we're students. And how much understanding do we have of a certain thing that we can bring harmony? And how many times we're learning from someone else? And we're needing to look at that as something that it's not a shameful thing to feel like I did something wrong. I didn't understand. And now I understand. You know, choice of ignorance by choice of ignorance is being very negative. Ignorance of just plain not knowing, I don't mind that. I know if someone's open to learn and grow and progress. I've had many people in my life that would have not had any understanding. And after working with them on something, it was like a light bulb come on and they really understood it. I had a gentleman one time disliked me a lot, and we ended up being very good friends. And he's a man that has a very cut and dried black and white opinion of everything. And it was so interesting for him to become a friend. And he said to me afterwards, we were really close. He said to me, he says, he said, I just couldn't believe you being the way you are. I didn't trust that at all. He says, I didn't believe you would be the way you are, and it was really real. And he goes, then after a period of time, he says, witnessing you in your life and being around you and how you do things and teach things and work with things, he goes, yeah, he says, I guess you're the real thing. So it's like, how often are we an example to someone else of honesty and healing? And if they really see that as our core, spiritual belief and understanding and in depth of what we share, that makes such a difference. And we can share that with people. I've had people that would mistrust or not like me or think something of me that didn't apply to me at all. And I've seen it happen where I can feel the energy change with them. I can feel the advancement with them, that they're thinking of it differently. So let's look at the idea that we're going to be who we really are. And if we approach things in a healing and loving manner, we're going to bring a lot more healing in the world. And boy, the world needs it right now. You have another question?
Yeah, on top of the one in continuation with the Stargate, are there any other Stargates on our planet? There is a rumor online that there is one in Iraq. Is there maybe one in the Egyptian pyramids?
I believe there's actually many of them on the planet. I want to say most of them are, let's say, buried or hidden in some manner that most consciousness of people would not be aware of, but I do believe they're there. I believe if you go back to the pyramids and you go back to a time where they talked about the angels from the sky and the visitors from the sky and the gods from the sky, I believe we've had many, many, many things happen in different parts of the planet that a Stargate is not past what I would feel is very optional and that it could have been there. I believe there was a time mankind was so much more advanced than we are at the moment. And we're doing a lot of technological advancement, but the technological advancement is technological. And I really feel that, sad to say, we really need to advance spiritually in the love and the healing for the planet, as well as the love and the healing for each other. You know, there's no difference between us. Who we are, we're sharing this energy. We're all breathing air. We're all functioning together. And we're needing to do it together. I find that mankind pushed away and separated so much for so long and became so focused in such a selfish and manipulative manner that we needed a jolt to bring us back to center and to make us think about things in a way that we're needing to really adjust our lives.
feel that Christ didn't die on the cross? I feel when he moved to France, I have been taking classes with Dr. Erico on the culture of Aramaic language. Do you think that there are books that Jesus wrote or his wife Mary Magdalene that are kept secret and have not been revealed to the public? Will they ever be?
I feel they're going to be revealed more, but I do feel there were times in the past that revealing them would have only brought ridicule and brought a lot of very negative energy. And they would have wanted to, I've seen it myself. I have a lady that passed the spirit I knew was a personal friend of mine. And when she didn't have the family there to be supportive of her, there was a church around her that came into her house, and she understood astrology and she understood mediumistic things and had a lot of books there that would be more spiritual books. And they came in and had a bonfire in the backyard and burn all the books because they didn't believe that she was going to go to heaven when she passed. She had a brain tumor. And I look at the silliness of people acting in the way they have. I believe that on a mankind level, worldwide, this is not just us here, but worldwide, there are so many people that choose to be so destructive and so limited that a great deal of information has been held back because there would have been a lot of people very destructive and negative with the thought and belief system. And I believe now things are starting to come out more and informationally having things come out more. I really feel in the next few year time span, for example, I think a lot of the governments are going to open up the UFO experiences and what has happened and information about it, whether it be military or private person. Those things are going to start being brought out in a truthful and honest manner. It's really this simple. There's a lot of people in the world that would panic and live in fear and be very destructive to anyone that would be open to that. I see it in religious conflicts now. I mean, my God, look at the world and how many people have religious conflicts, and they're always at war over things. I mean, I just find it amazing how people can be so abusive and yet call themselves whatever they want to call themselves. To me, it's just ridiculous, but that's the way the world is now. We're here to learn. No more questions?
Nope.
Alrighty. Now, randomly, I have a few thoughts about a few things and questions were there that just come to me as my own thinking and my feeling from spirit. I believe the world is in a transition of healing. I believe there's a lot of souls left the planet. I want to say a higher level. Now, let me put it in this context. Our soul mind knows why we're here, what we're here for, what we're experiencing, what we're doing. I believe we're all messengers and teachers for others. I believe every one of us is messengers and teachers. If we take time to share that energy in a positive way where the door is open, and what I mean by where the door is open, someone that would not ridicule or consider you very negative by saying things you really believe and feel. I have a friend of mine that he always says too much, and then he wonders why people get disturbed in him or ignore him. And I've tried to get him to understand that, there are people just not ready for some of that understanding. And he has a lot of ability and he has a lot of things that he knows and believes. And this is something here that, if we can take time to say, what can we share with this individual or that group and be able to share it and have people respond to it in a loving manner? Look how much energy abundantly expands from that. And we can share that and enjoy that. I've spoken in many churches and I've spoken before many groups and had lots of circles and meditation groups. It's always been a wonderful energy because I see people, you'll see a light bulb go on within them and they recognize the fact that they're growing, they're changing, just like this gentleman I mentioned about I talked to, and he just opened up everything in his life. Well, I believe when God's energy is coming through, I believe that window of opportunity is there to share. And it goes way beyond just the conscious mind and the conscious thinking and the conscious fear we live in. And we bypass all that and we get a lot accomplished very quickly. and very lovingly and very healing. And then we shift back to the conscious mind. And I've had people go like, oh my God, is this something that, it's a secret between us? It's like, is this confidential? And I want to say everything is confidential. It's God's energy coming through us and working with us in the doorways and windows that are open for us to step through. And we're needing to take the time and allowing it. And instead of just rushing along in our conscious little world, you know, we're needing to be aware of what are we experiencing, feeling, and seeing? What's going on around us? What's being given to us that we walk right past and miss it? What's being given to us as a gift? There's so many gifts that I see people walk right by and ignore. And we're needing to recognize we have gifts around us every day, all the time. And we can be a gift to someone else. Just, walk in the store and hold the door for someone. I've had some people looked at me shocking and they look at me like, what does he want? You know, and you're holding a door for him. And it's like, I just feel wonderful with the idea that I do get a kick out of shocking some people at times, but I'm doing it from a loving, caring level and not just the idea of shocking them. But I notice the energy at times they're a little thrown. They don't know what to do with it. And I just give the energy lovingly and move on. Don't worry about it. Don't dwell on it. Don't even have to go back over it. Just give the energy and go on. God's energy is never ending. It'll flow through us abundantly in whatever form we're choosing to share in. And I see so many people walk around closed and they don't let anything out and they don't give any energy and they just walk around closed, but they want to take everything in, but they don't give out. Let's give out. Let's share that energy of the love and the healing, and people can respond to that and share in that. I know there's so many times I do that with people and they don't know what happened. They feel differently, they think differently. There's a different energy there, and God bless them. Just enjoy and love them and let it go at that. You may not even agree with them. You may not on a conscious level even like being around them, but it's like you give that energy and you share the energy with them. I think we're getting close to an hour here. I know I was rolling along with a lot of things, and I appreciate all the questions. I think the questions are wonderful, and I hope this made some people think about what we experience in life on a daily level. You know, I notice a lot of people now with this whole COVID experience. It's like there's so many people that have had to stop and really change and evaluate things differently and look at their lives in a way now where, okay, when do we start getting to the new normal and start functioning more normally again? And I believe in some areas of the country and the world we are, and some of the areas are really doing well in a sense of not having the COVID problem as much at all. And some areas don't have it at all. I believe we're moving through that. And I really feel by spring to summer, we're going to have a lot more healing and a lot more, and I'll term it um, the new way of living or the new way of living. And that energy is a real shift for us that we're moving into. It's the new normal. And I believe that there's a lot of people recognizing the need to be able to communicate and share more. And as we do that, we're bringing healing. We have other people in the world that are going right back to the same thing they were doing, the way they were doing it. And, God bless them. Surround them in light. And that's their choice. I had a friend of mine say to me, he said, don't you get mad? And I said, no, I get a little sad because I recognize that I see the potential and ability. And I think each one of you, in some aspect of your lives, you see potential and ability in someone else that sadly they're not opening to or allowing themselves to participate in. And I think it's very sad that, I know it's there, I see it there, Spirit gives it to me, but, you know, plant seeds of wisdom, guidance, and love where, when, and how you can, and bring the harmony that you can in any way you can, and let it go at that. It's their choice and their pathway in life. And just plant the seed. Just plant the seed. We've had way too much of belief systems that are really negative and aggressive and harmful. And sad to say, I know we're going to have some more of that, but it's also something that by all of us together thinking in this manner, it's going to bring more harmony and bring more harmony in every level. I believe we're going through quite a shakeup politically, and there's a lot of people that are on a political level that they're in denial of reality, they're in denial of harmony, they're in denial of being honest, and they're going to be found out and they're going to be recognized more. And I believe that this is going to be something that in the United States, I feel transformationally, it's going to be a little rough for a bit, but then I see some really good things coming. So I don't feel negative. I feel positive, but I recognize we're going to have some stuff happen that may be pretty rough for a while for people to finally get fed up enough and desire the harmony and not the anger and not the fighting and not the battling energy, but I mean, really have harmony. I believe it's possible and I think it'll happen. I think it's wonderful to know that and see that. Not enough time for really questions from you tonight in person, but I'd like to share a prayer as we close. Dear God, in love and understanding, may we be blessed by the knowledge, awareness, and understanding of God's presence, wishes, healing, and love as we bring that harmony in our lives and we allow ourselves to be a channel of the energy to flow through us. It isn't the idea of confronting things, it's the idea of sharing the loving energy with them, no matter what it is. And it's going to be something that you're going to see the healing energy occur. You know, ask our guides, teachers, and loved ones, because these guides, teachers, and loved ones are ordained by God to be with us, to come to us, to help us, to be a guidance and messenger to us, and to allow the healing to occur. Be it in your mind, be it in the emotions, be it in the physical body, we're healing. And to keep that intent and focus going, and you'll see changes that are wonderful. Hey, I enjoyed sharing with everyone tonight. I hope everyone has enjoyed this. I hope you've gotten something out of it that would be meaningful. And God bless you all.